Rebecca needs a new co-host. She does indeed. And she needs, of course, to change her allegiance because she is while she did. Now, I don't know. You know what? We can maybe dig into this together because she has openly said a few times this really sycophantic fawning for little bubble boy. Now, remember, we call him that because he needs to be in his bubble, encapsulated by the boy gropers, because outside of that bubble, he's nothing. Outside of their intimidation of content creators and their slandering and undermining their ability to make a living or whatever it is that they're doing online, even somebody like Tucker Carlson. Beyond that, he's nothing. He's a nobody. He's 4 feet tall. He weighs 100 pounds. And he couldn't argue his way out of a police ticket without saying he's a Mexican.
You're saying you're a white supremacist? I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican.
So let's just be real here. He's a bubble boy. Now, Rebecca has said many times just sickeningly fawning statements about Fuentes. And but we have to kind of maybe dig into this, maybe break out the scalpel. Does she really feel that way? Is he really as great as she has said that he is? Is he really as amazing? Or is that some of those statements, maybe all of those statements, in part or in whole, driven by what she said here in this conversation the other day, that she's terrified, she's scared of the boy gropers and how they attack. And she said, this is crazy. This is all I had was some mild criticism for Bubble Boy. And they are piling on and they're DMing her and the threats and the whole 9 yards of various types, of course. And so is it driven by that? I mean, is she really like in some degree a hostage of this sickening movement? And you'll see, if you want to know what a boy groper looks like and acts like, the child that they are, well, you'll just see it in her co-host Dave. And remember, we have to point out, can somebody tell me, is Dave Catholic? What is he? Because this guy, if you recall, I believe he was talking about Catholicism. And he said that what we need is, remember, we played the clip here to point out a great example of the Christian nationalist movement. That, and this is the same way when it comes to Jewsburgs. It's the exact same way. Once X is done, then this, and by the way, X is impossible, whatever it is. Once Catholics run the government, once Catholics are the only people allowed to be in governance, once, etc., then white people will be, Dave actually said that, then white people will be fine. No, that's not how this works, Dave. White people come. Dave.
Come on, man, open up. I think the cops.
Dave's not here.
White people come first. We are the West. Shut your fat, childish mouth, bitch.
Bitch.
That's what you fat, sloppy bitch. We come first. So it's the same thing with the Jewsburgs. Once the Jews are gone, then the white people. No, bitch. We come first. We are what matters. We are what's talked about. Now, I know, and we had a couple of the people on this space, 2 spaces that we were on last night, that were great examples, you know, of the midget wittery, not able to get it. And these are the kind of people, by the way, that if you were to see them out somewhere, you would cross the road. If you were to see them walking down the sidewalk, you would lock your door if you're a woman. Because they're just vile, they're grungy, they're ignorant looking. These are not the upstanding members of society. So we shouldn't suffer them for 2 seconds. We shouldn't suffer their thoughts for 2 seconds because they have none. This is about the point where it starts.
Have multiple fissures in the conservative movement. One is between Zionists and anti-Zionists. And then we're having this Groper v. Wignat thing going on. And
okay, so she just categorized herself as Fuentes categorizes the white nationalists, the people who are focused on the well-being of white people. Well, in pretext, I guess, in most of their cases, but refers to them as Wignats. And so you'll see here, is concerned with white people. She even says globally concerned with white people. Dave isn't. So that's an interesting sort of thing to say up here up front. There is obviously a big divide between those who want to continue in service to Israel and a lot of MAGA. So this is a Trump phenomenon. MAGA has not been pro-Israel from the beginning. So it's as a giant faction of MAGA are done. They're done all the way back in 2016, done with servitude to Israel, servitude to any other people on planet Earth.
It seems like there is just so much tension within conservatism because we're having a problem trying to decide what we are, what the movement is about, who is our leadership, and where we're going.
We are not in their movement. There is no movement. Long before the internet, they always, and they still do, refer to the resistance by white people as a movement. And I pointed out again and again that this is an intellectual handicap. You can't think properly about what we are, how we are resisting, how it's multifarious, how the vast majority of it is injurious, not even just neutral, by calling it a movement. That's why I refer to it as a sphere. It's a white sympathetic sphere. It helps you to better understand. You're welcome. But here you have part of the problem of your premise in thinking. You're beginning in the wrong place, and so you can only end up in the wrong place. It's various conclusions, but they're all going to be wrong. So you begin with this notion that there's a movement, and then what's the movement's message? An erroneous question. Who is the movement's leader? An erroneous question. Whatever she and Dave and Cameron think this is, and I guess Vince used to be on this show too, whatever they think that is, we are not part of it. We are outside of it. And they recognize that. That's why there's no cross pollination from their side. We've had them on. We've talked with them, as many as we'll talk, but they don't do it on their side because for them, we are outside of their movement. What's the big difference here? We're actually focused on tangibly improving the lives of white people rather than theoretically talking about an abstractionary white race and once the Jews are gone. So there's your difference. There's your divide. This movement, if you want to call it that, is just an anti-Jew movement. And what did yours truly tell you from the very beginning? And that's where we are outside, where we are not part of what they are. Because we are a white positive movement. They're an anti-Jew movement. Well, I've been telling you for years that ever since the internet became robust enough, we've had this multiracialization of the anti-Jew movement. And I told you, in fact, I reached out, I think it might have been a year and a half, 2 years ago, to some people who will know exactly who I'm talking about, and with some ideas about helping along this reality of the multiracializing of the anti-Jew movement. I told you all that it's going to fall under the leadership of maybe questionably white or non-white anti-Jew content creators that will throw a bone to white people every now and again. I mean, could you imagine some non-white content creator that said, hey, this is, we got to just defeat the Jews. And this country is built by the white people. And could you imagine all these these white losers would show up? So what's actually happening, though, and this is what is going to unfold in screams on the screen here, is that white people who closed their eyes, talk about eyes wide shut, and they went into this subservient role in this multiracial Jew spurgery. They closed their eyes and they said, let's just pretend that it's actually concerned with white people. Let's just pretend that we matter. And what's ended up happening? Of course, there are going to be a lot of little hiccups like this. This isn't the first. It's not going to be the last. Between these factions in the anti-Jew movement, who are going to keep snapping back together. The white race, so browbeaten, so white guilted, they'll just keep obsequiously re-enter. Just throw them a bone. Little bubble boys just got to throw them a little bone, and they'll come right back in and be nothing but singing the hosannas of little bubble boy. But for now, there's some problems because Fuentes, as we pointed out last week, said, hey, after his conversation with Tucker, He said, hey, don't care what race you are. If you're born in this country, it's your birthright. It's all ours. And the boy gropers, they got the message because it is their actual message. It's what they've understood all along, that it's multiracial, anti-Jew endeavor. It's just these white people who, like Rebecca here, who are going into this with their eyes wide shut, pretending like somehow white people are going to matter in this.
You want to talk about this, Dave?
Well, let me just address the Ben Shapiro stuff first, and then let's get to the Fuentes stuff. Much of what Ben Shapiro said,
the so-called browning of America, which is something I've said I don't care about because I don't care about that,
is absolutely correct. What he's describing is a pluralistic America, and as I've said before. And perhaps I don't do as good of a job as I need to of articulating it. That America is dead. It's dying. The United States, as represented by us, the three of us on this podcast, by the ethnos, as I like to say, the real America, that America is not dying. The heartbeat of that America is beginning to beat. And that is what is particularly alarming to Ben Shapiro. But
that heartbeat and what Cameron, I think that's his name, is referring to is the white race fed up, being empowered with the concepts that we are spreading to the tune of hundreds of thousands, even millions of people every single week for year after year after year after year, able to articulate their angst, able to articulate, which we weren't able to do in Rhodesia, because they didn't have the lexicon, which we weren't able to do in South Africa because we didn't have the lexicon, which we weren't able to do in Paris because we didn't have the lexicon. Oh, we can go on and on. But with white people empowered by the lexicon and able to express our angst, our concerns, our dismay, our anger in a moral way that comports with our biospirit. That's why it matters. People say, why does it matter if it's moral? Because what is moral for us is what comports with our biospirit. Everybody has in my opinion, the different groups of man, slightly different morality, maybe very different in some ways. So a moral message means that it's a message that comports with our biospirit. So you have this white population that's starting to say, wait a second, what's up with the anti-white? What's up with all the anti-whiteism?
If you go through,
and that's why little Benny Shapiro had to ban the use of the word anti-whiteism because of how powerful it is.
Detail what he says. Am I a conservative? No, I don't want to conserve pluralistic America. I don't want to live in a multiracial society where whites become a shrinking minority in their own society. I don't want to live at the behest of Jewish dominance.
We got a Jewsburg in the audience saying, how are you putting white people first if you're not complaining about the Jews? Do you want a people? We need to have a people. Your argument is based in the fallacy that the white race is a people, that it's an identifiable people, that its members see themselves and their individual well-being by way of their group well-being. So if you have a people, like if you're a Jewish person and you have a people, you can make an argument to that group of people for them to evaluate. All right, can you follow this, buddy? Try to follow this with the couple of brain cells you're trying to rub together there. They can make an argument for that group. What is that group? Why is that group different than the white race? Because that group is evaluating the well-being of the totality of their group so that they can have individual well-being. When the white race, so you can go to that group and you can say, I believe this is a threat to our group. And then they will evaluate your argument. When you go to the white race, you don't have a people. So when you go to the white race and you say, oh, there's this massively powerful group and they want to harm white people, those white people don't say, how do we get to the well-being of my people and therefore me individually? They say, where's my resume? I'll work for them. Then they'll like me. How much evidence do you need of that reality? Shut the fuck up. Fucking morons. How are you not going to talk about the Jews 24/7? How much failure can you have and not realize that that doesn't work? How many decades of failure just in the United States do you finally say to yourself, shit, this hadn't worked for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime?
All of those things are the core pillars of his conservatism. And indeed, that's what the Conservative Party represents. You just heard it from our dear president. He essentially has capitulated and enslaved himself to Jewish power. That's what conservatism is today. So no, we have nothing to do with conservatism. We are eating the Republican Party. The Republican Party is a fossil.
No, that's not happening.
It's a disease fossil that was destroyed by
That's Pollyanna that we've been hearing and talking about here forever and talking about even before I was on the internet. It's just Pollyannish nonsense.
Jewish subversion. We know that. So basically everything that Shapiro said, more or less, is exactly correct. And that is why I've said that we are in a state of becoming. We are creating new political organizations and metapolitical organizations on the road to a completely transformed and reawakened America. And he wants nothing to do with that, because in that America, Ben Shapiro and Jewish power and this mishmash of different racial groups are not the dominant paradigm. In fact, they will be challenged, overthrown, and expelled. And that is the future of this country. He fears it. I think
This childish talk right here. Into the victimization of Western kind. Become a people out of our deracinated race.
he knows that it's coming, and it is.
I guarantee with every fiber of my life, every dollar I've ever had, have, and will ever have on the table, that none of what he just said will come to fruition when he exhales his final breath in old age. Still won't be come to fruition. Get real.
There's nothing you can do to stop it.
Right. And I think we've seen what happens when your movement is built on what you are not, what you are against. If you don't define the positive values of a movement, then what really are you? And then I think that
So she's talking about something really fundamental here. And you saw with little bubble boy attempted to literally just lift from Richard Spencer the "Who are we?" And that's what Bubble Boy is known for doing. These many of these big tweets, like this one about your body, my choice. He didn't come up with that. He just lifted that from somebody else. So he tried to lift from Spencer. Spencer saw the problem of not having any aspect of positivity, which I was arguing for in those circles. And it was all just a negative, all just complaining about Jews, all just complaining about blacks, all just complaining about Arabs. So then attempted to address that at least with a title, the "Who are we?" and this focus on this teleos at some point down the road, which kind of Cameron is giving you the same sort of strategy there to placate you and get you interested and enthusiastic, like a salesman would do. But they're going to tell you where the rubber meets the road right here. Dave literally says, and I don't know if it's in the part that we're going to watch here, but he literally says that all young people need to hide their power level. He literally says this. And then he literally says, take over the Republican Party. So how many times have we heard that before? Who was that little guy's name? The other little guy that used to work with Bubble Boy, James. Remember him? And he said, we're going to take over the Republican Party. It's so easy. You just look at like all the local districts. It's all these old people. And you come in there and you're the young blood and they will immediately just have you and they'll put you in jail. And they did that with him. And I said from the very beginning, hogwash. They will identify you in a heartbeat. The immune system in the Republican Party is extreme. They will identify you and throw you right out. He had hundreds of thousands of followers watching him give his little pre-written script every couple of days. And those people said, oh, you're just jealous. No, I'm just right. I'm just more intelligent. I just keep proving I'm right. And that's why your only retort is, well, you're just arrogant. That's what happens when you're right all the time. You appear arrogant to those who hate being wrong all the time. So what ended up happening? He was identified and thrown out and banned from all participation. You're not going to sneak in and take over the Republican Party. This is Fuentes' way to preserve and grow his audience. Be quiet, guys. Don't let anybody know about what your power level is. And then the real plan is that when you're being really quiet, at some point, you'll take over the CIA, like he said last week.
Presents kind of these growing pains. I mean, we're going to talk about this Nick Fuentes thing. I know this is a highly contentious subject. And before we talk about it all, I'm not anti-Groyper. I want Nick to succeed. I like Nick. He has done a lot of good work for the movement. He has sacrificed a lot. But we still need to talk about this because there's this massive issue on the right. My DMs are just filled with it's America first versus white first. So we're going to pull up clip 9.
It should be white first. Now, I think really what's motivating Rebecca in large part is not ideological. I think in smaller part, it's ideological point. But Fuentes, of course, calling out Devin Stack, and she's really good friends with Devin Stack, and saying Devin Stack is this Wignat, and he's dead to me. And who else might be a friend of hers? That Arvel, dead to me. And so she's a female, so the friend thing, you know, and she's like, why are you making this problems with the friends? But some part of it is probably ideological. But watch, you're about to see the boy groper. I mean, Dave is, no matter how old, he's a perfect example of the boy gropers out there in the world. The childish response from this clown, the over-the-top, childish tantrum from you can't even, no, he's a guy boy. You know, there's that statement, man boy. No, he's a guy boy. He'll never be a man.
And we're going to talk about what Fuentes has said in the last, I think this was like 5 or 6 days ago.
Some backbone. Get the courage of your convictions. If you're out there, and by the way, I don't care what color you are. I know maybe that's going to be controversial on my side. But seriously, if you have citizenship, if you were born in this country, this is your birthright.
Oh,
this is our life.
Oh, remember him, the part where he said, I didn't say that.
This is our rights. This is our heritage. It's our tax dollars. It's our government. It's our military. This is our country. This is our empire. I'll unite with anybody who proclaims.
So remember, I told you all along, when they say America first, I told you all, what do they mean by America? When he's referring to our, what does he mean by our? Who is the our?
America first, above all other countries, including and especially Israel. And they're on the other side of this one, and they're wrong. They need to be put back in their place.
I think the concern here.
Anybody who says that America should come second needs.
Was that it?
Yeah.
I think the concern here is that we are going to become civic nationalists with an anti-Israel bent. Now, that would be.
That's what it is. It's multiracial, anti-Jew spurgery.
Great improvement on the civic nationalism that we've seen in the past. Israel is the real problem. But for ethno-nationalists, hearing that we have to, bring minorities into the fold to succeed, that has been problematic. And so there was a lot of backlash from, who does Nick mention specifically? He mentions Devin Stack, Asha Logos, someone else. Let's play clip 10. I can't remember who the other person was.
It was like Zoomer historian. Yeah, Asha Logos, Devin Stack, and Arvel.
Is that true? Separately, do you believe just because a Mexican was born here that they have a birthright? Mexicans were only 4% of the pop up until 1970 and are the largest collective of welfare recipients, etc. A foreigner in the Bible is not determined by paperwork, but by blood.
Well, I love that. I'm glad you brought that up. So on my show last week, we're talking about Israel first versus America first. And I said that Josh Hammer, his wife is Israeli. His kids are Israeli. I said, they're not even from here. I said, if you're from here, if you're born here, I said, this is your birthright. This is America. And I saw all of my ankle biters in the pro-white movement took that.
Think about how small his ankle biters would have to be. I mean, seriously. How tiny. It would have to be a gerbil to bite his ankles. I want to point out to the folks in this community, though, notice how the criticism of Jews, when it comes from Jewsburgs, is about how powerful they are. They have inordinate power. They control too many institutions. They work together too well. They always show up together when something is in their interest. I want you to really pay special attention to that, because The criticism is not that they're anti-white. The criticism is that they work together. Now, what have I taught you about criticizing behavior that you need to emulate? Look at what's happened to Cuckservative, the followership, after all the Cuckservative content creators across Western civilization demonized talking about a group's victimization. They now absolutely ignorantly, stolidly refuse to talk about our victimization because the behavior was demonized. So here you have the Jewsburgs, like Little Nicky, endlessly criticizing the power of the Jews. You can't criticize what you need to emulate.
Clip, and they said, is Nick Fuentes endorsing birthright citizenship? Do you think that is the point of that?
Wait, is this true? Zoomer Historian lost his YouTube account today? That is what Rebecca is talking about. If that's accurate, that kind of thing happens all the time. And she made one of these statements, what was it, a month and a half ago or so now, where she said, everybody's going to end up following Fuentes because if you don't, you're excluded. You won't have an audience. You won't have, and it was in so many words like that. And it struck me, not so much as like a cheerleading for Fuentes at that moment and the boy gropers, but maybe an SOS. Maybe she was tapping out SOS, that they're destroying anybody who doesn't submit themselves to Fuentes as leader. Yeah, see if you can verify that.
Clip. We're talking about America first versus Israel first. We're talking about people that literally are foreigners. They're foreign nationals, bossing us around, intimidating us, controlling our system. In this context, I said, if you're born in America, if you're a citizen, this is your birthright. Their interpretation of that is, oh, so anchor babies own America? Really? That's what you got from that?
Everybody born here of any race is what you literally said. That is what we're taking away. And that's why there's this big crash out, because even total midget wits can get it.
Me telling people Americans should take pride in being American. That's what you got out of that. And what was funny is the only people.
Remember, please pay attention, because you might be hearing me and saying, no, that's not what he really, that's not what that's exactly what he meant. And that's exactly the message that the boy gropers got, because Dave is going to say so as a par excellence boy groper.
People that heard it that way were like so-called white nationalists. Isn't that amazing? Because I haven't proven that I'm pro-white. Like, I do a show every night. I was at Charlottesville. I opposed Donald Trump in the election because he wasn't in favor of an immigration.
So was I. And I had been to 1,000 other Charlottesvilles.
Moratorium. I'm against Donald Trump because he's not deporting enough people. I say this every night. And they took this little loophole semantic thing and said, oh, so I guess he's in favor. And, you know, this is why I have a real problem with a lot of white nationalists.
It's a semantic thing. Anybody of any race, this is your birthright.
It's not because of what they believe. It's because of how they act. Shouldn't you be supporting me? Like, isn't this a time when our people should be circling the wagons around each other? Like, there's this all-out attack from the Republican Jewish Coalition, from Mark Levin, from, like, we're in the battle over American sovereignty. Shouldn't you people who are supposed to be pro-white, like, I'm not pro-white enough suddenly? In what way? Because of a semantic way that you interpreted that?
No.
And they use it as an opportunity to attack me, to one-up me, and score a point and say, oh, I'm going to take the piss. This little clip, yeah, I like Nick, but this was no good. Really? And so everybody that did that is dead to me. So I saw Devin Stack say that. I saw Asha Logo say that. Eric Arvol is DMing me saying, are you against birthright citizenship in DMs? Really? How are you going to be pro-white? You're not even going to support me. How are you for all white people and, ecumenical pro-white politics? You're going to throw me under the bus?
I mean,
All right. Heretical Town says somebody called Josh Hammer said anti-white this week. I don't know who he is, but it was in reference to DEI, anti-whiteism, and Trump. So that's awesome. victory for this community. Remember when Fuentes said of me, and we shared the clip, and he's like, oh, he's the Jason guy, some sort of political hack. And what they do over there is they spread words like anti-white. Doesn't do a thing. All right. All right. Tree Godfather confirming that, yes, indeed, Zoomer Historian lost his YouTube channel today after criticizing Little Nicky.
Maybe this is less of a problem of big tent conservatism and more of a problem of whether or not we believe that America is salvageable. And I personally don't think we can use any system to save a country that is not salvageable, which is why I disagree with this position. Dave?
All right. So Heretical Town said that Fuentes had just mentioned this guy, I guess, in criticism.
Wrong. That's it. Okay.
Dave, you're going to have to get...
Which is a huge victory for us. And for my arguments for decades that we could get anti-whites to use our language. And they said it couldn't be done. And they said it couldn't be done.
Into this.
No, I don't. I'm not going to fucking participate in this.
Why?
Did you hear how we just started? Now, I want you to get ready. He's like, I'm not going to fucking participate. But sorry for the language. This is how the boy groper is talking. The tantrum is beginning for him. Now, I want you to imagine you have reared a god-awful son. You have reared a god-awful son. And now he's like 13, 14 years old. You've done a terrible job parenting. And now this kid, he's getting ready to throw a tantrum. And now you're going to see that kid. It might not be your kid. Maybe it's somebody else's child. You've seen it, though. Here we go.
Because it's bullshit fucking ankle biting, exactly what he's talking about.
I just don't think that we should have any person that's beyond reproach. He's just a man.
It's not a matter of it being beyond reproach. It's a matter of, are you going to try to fucking fix this goddamn country or not?
This
and you're
country?
not. You didn't even fucking vote yesterday.
Yeah.
Does he have a father? Does he have a father? This is how he talks to his mother for sure. Does he talk to maybe his dad was a pansy? This is the fanaticism. If you just contradict Fuentes this tiny little way, look at Blonde in the Belly of the Beast. She couldn't be more of like a little lady. Look at his response.
I try to fucking fix this.
Under reproach. He's just a man.
It's not a matter of it being beyond reproach. It's a matter of, are you going to try to fucking fix this goddamn country or not?
This
and you're
country?
not. You didn't even fucking vote yesterday.
Yeah, I did not
And
vote.
and guess what? You're fucked now. You've got Dan Gookin as mayor.
My vote clearly wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah, it would. It was 500 votes. It was 500 votes. What the fuck did Henry?
So, he attacks Henrik and Lana as well. So her one vote would have made the difference when there was a 500 vote swing.
My vote clearly wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah, it would. It was 500 votes. It was 500 votes. What the fuck did Henrik and Lana do? Jack shit. What did any of the white nationalists in Coeur d'Alene do? Nothing.
Now, this is the multiracial Jew-spurging movement. This is what they think of you if you put white people first, if you put our well-being first. Never forget it, because you're getting a little look under the hood of the kind of messages that I've gotten from these little twerp bitches in their anonymity. You're getting to see it firsthand. This is what they think of you when you say white well-being first. That we are not on the same team. I feel bad for these white people with their eyes wide shut who in the Fuentes entourage with people like this who hate you if you're not going to submit to this totally illogical, nonsensical bullshit of getting rid of the Jews. Let me tell you what, their peoplehood has survived millennia. Your little anonymous complaining on the internet isn't jack shit. You don't have a hope in hell. I mean, this is not even David and Goliath. This is like David and Jupiter. There's no hope. Overcoming their peoplehood that has survived millennia by bitching about it and hiding your power level and taking over the Republican Party and the CIA. What a joke. You are just bitches who aggrandize him. And that's all you're ever meant to be. Make sure he gets on shows. Get channels banned from YouTube. Harass Tucker Carlson and other content creators that won't talk with him until he finally will, because you are affecting the bottom dollar. This is the childish little boy energy. This guy right here needs an ass whooping. He clearly never had a man in his life. He's talking to this little female like this. And if it were a little guy, same thing. What is she doing? What is she saying? She's like, I think this guy should be able to be criticized. So what if she were a little guy? Same thing. This boy never learned to be a man, never will.
Nothing. They did fucking nothing. I sat on the phone for 5 hours and made phone calls on Monday. I sat out in the rain for 2 hours yesterday campaigning for these people, and we won in Post Falls, where I made my calls, where I volunteered, and Coeur d'Alene did jack shit. And then I've got people like Devin Stack coming at me on Twitter, trying to tell me about my fucking state, quoting bullshit from AI that's completely wrong, saying that Phil McGrain is the outgoing mayor of Coeur d'Alene. He's the fucking Secretary of State. He's not the outgoing mayor of Coeur d'Alene. There is not a bunch of money coming in from Dorothy Moon and the Idaho GOP to back Dan Gookin. The fucking Republican Party sued his ass last year. They sued him. The Republican Party up here has been against the Chamber of Commerce for 5 or 6 years now. This is the whole fucking point of it. And we've got these retards like Devin Stack and Arvel and apparently my co-hosts who, instead of...
Jesus Christ.
He just called Devin Stack and Arvel retards, and then he called his hosts retards because they don't just want to blindly aggrandize Nick Fuentes.
Throwing in and working together as a team to make this country a better place for our kids, we're gonna fucking ankle bite Nick Fuentes because he said something that was taken out of context by a bunch of fucking people who hate Jesus Christ, who hate the church, and who hate this country.
I have never taken any...
Huge straw man right there. They hate Jesus Christ. Go to hell, bitch. If you're not blindly following Fuentes like the rest of the boy gropers, then you hate Jesus Christ. Are you seeing the childish energy here? Are you seeing the childish impudence? This is what animates these people. This audience that follows these boy gropers, they grew up without fathers. Either there was no father in the house, they never learned to be a man, or the guy that was there was so browbeaten and pussified that he was effectively no father in the house. This is disgusting. Absolutely repulsive behavior. Now, they're going to be fine as a team. They're making money together. They'll get beyond this. They'll be fine afterward. I wouldn't worry about that at all. But you're getting to see a great demonstration, and it's not over yet. This guy, a boy groper, a representative, a mouthpiece, attacking anybody and everybody who are what they, white nationalists, they would refer to them, or supposedly as Fuentes would, who are not falling in line behind Fuentes and making sure he gets on as many shows as possible. Because don't you know, the more money that Fuentes makes and the more shows he gets on and the more applause he gets, the closer we are to expelling Jews from the world.
Other position, except that I'm an ethno-nationalist that believes that America is failing. And I've been totally consistent in that, in my not voting. I mean, will I vote in local politics in future? I don't know, maybe, probably. But there's no reason to say that levying a mild criticism at something that Nick Fuentes has said is me undermining the movement.
This isn't about leveling a mild criticism against Nick. No, it is. We've got one kid that is going and hurling himself at the Jewish establishment like a human fucking hand grenade. He has had...
And listen to this infantilizing or treating as a weak and defenseless child that they do when it comes to Fuentes. He is well onto in his adult years. Do you know, in down home here, we had actual kids, 13 years old, march off to defend the Southland when the United States when the United States invaded and defeated us. Those are actual children. This is a grown guy, well into his 20s, but that's how they talk. We got this kid here and he's just being attacked from all angles.
everything in the kitchen sink thrown at him for the last 10 years. I've lost friendships over Nick Fuentes. I have been smeared in the press over Nick Fuentes.
Oh boy, he's sacrificed so much. He's had people dislike him because he's such a fervent, fanatical, blind follower of Fuentes. You know, by the looks of him, you know, like every moment that goes by with this like real female energy that he has. I mean, this guy's got a lot of estrogen coursing through his veins. With this super female, I'm waiting for him to yell out "Oy vey."
And then all of a sudden, when Nick Fuentes breaches the outer wall and starts making a fucking difference, and people are waking up and starting to see this, getting on the same page, joining a movement and making a difference, and we're going to sit back and fucking up when Nick Fuentes.
Here we have a Juiceberg in the audience saying, Jason acting like he doesn't invite non-white people. Non-white people can support white well-being. Yes. Are you able to see the difference? In one case, you have an equivalency of followership. They're all the same in opposition to Jews. And in another environment, this one, you have a group of people that are white positive, and they will allow other people, non-white people, to also be white positive. We are obviously 99.9% white as a consequence of that, and always will be as a consequence of that. Whereas over here, you are what now? 60% non-white, 70% non-white, 75% non-white in the Juiceburging. You have a ton of Hispanics and Arabs, and the more everyone that shows up every day, as that movement grows, it grows in brown shades of brown, buddy. Not for the well-being of white people, but to complain about Jews. So can you see the difference now? Fucking tard.
Breaches the outer wall and starts making a fucking difference, and people are waking up and starting to see this, getting on the same page, joining a movement and making a difference, and we're going to sit back and fucking ankle bite and be.
This is, again, remember I told you all when the Kanye West thing happened, I told you all then, this is cyclical. You have these moments in Juiceburgery when they go through this, oh my God, now is the time. It's now or never. It's now or never. And everybody's got to get on board with the complaining about Jews because it's going to happen. And every single time, not everybody involved gets ruined. Even the billionaire Kanye West, the black nationalist, everybody gets ruined. You're nowhere closer to getting rid of the Jews. And I'll state again, the legitimate criticism against Israel held by the world is a consequence of the activities of the Jews. That means they can remedy it as they've done before.
And be like, he's for brown people.
I reject that this is ankle biting. We did the same thing to Donald Trump when we felt like our mission.
Totally different.
Let me finish. When we felt like his mission was going off course. It is incumbent on the people of a movement, the people of a country, to keep their leaders on track. And that I believe that's what we're doing.
So you believe Nick is off track?
Yes, I do. And I'm allowed.
Look, he says it. So you believe Nick is off? He can't be off track. He is the deity of America first.
To have an opinion that diverges from his. I didn't leave a show where I couldn't say what I want to join a show where I'm not allowed to say what I want because I'm afraid of the wrath of the groypers. I'm afraid of the groypers. I truly am. But like, I'll take their licks here because I disagree.
She says this several times. Afraid of the groypers, she truly is.
Disagree with Nick, and I'm allowed to disagree with Nick. It doesn't mean I don't like him as a person or I want the movement to fail, but I fundamentally disagree with the concept of big tent conservatism and using the system of the United States government to try to change the bloated system of the United States government. I disagree with that entirely. America as a project, I see it as a failure, and I just care more about white people across the world than I do about America, and that's the difference.
Amen to that, sister.
Here. That doesn't mean that I want the America First movement to fail. It doesn't mean that I think groypers are losers. I don't. I mean, my heart is in
No, they are losers.
Nationalism, but I'm also very sympathetic to the groyper cause. So I don't like these accusations being leveled at me because I have been principled and I have been honest, and I would never speak to you this way. I would never call you a retard, Dave. I would never speak to you this way privately. I would never speak to you this way publicly.
That's funny. This is funny. I just this childishness of these clowns.
And I don't agree with this characterization of me. That's not what I did. I just think this is so unfair. Cameron, can we get you in here? Can you be the dad?
Yeah. Well, look, obviously it's an emotional issue
He's like, I don't want to get into this shit.
for especially Dave, and I understand that. And I do think Fuentes has done a lot of good things, right? Things that we've talked about on the show before. My question to Dave is, if you were to take a clip of what we just watched, and I have to say, I don't watch Fuentes' material, so I'm not an expert in what he says. I've seen some clips here and there, but
that is sacrilegious in those circles, buddy. They're never going to let you get big. I'm going to go ahead and guess. Somebody tell me. I think this guy's name is Cameron. How big is he actually? How big are his? Because if he's not a devout boy groper, then he's not going to be allowed to get large.
If you were to take that clip and go back 6 months and show it to Fuentes 6 months ago and say, hey, what do you think of this? My guess is Fuentes would flame himself. I mean, that take was incoherent. It was defensive. It was very odd. I don't think I've ever seen Fuentes talk like that. I mean, constant equivocations. Something's going on here. I don't know what it is. Others have talked about it over the last few weeks, particularly since Charlie Kirk's death. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. But my question to Dave is, do you not think that even 90 days ago?
Pause it right there. Adi is saying Zoomer historian just got doxxed. Is that real? Is that just a rumor? Or was he actually doxxed recently? Wow.
That his position was very different than what we just heard.
No, I think it's exactly the same as what it's been since the fucking beginning.
All right, so Cameron's saying there, don't you think that Fuentes would have rejected what he just said just 90 days or whatever he said ago? Of course, any reasonable person looking at that would say, yeah, every race. But this is, as I've continued to share and will continue moving forward, a great example of how it doesn't matter. Fuentes can go on a date with lolly socks. He could be caught saying, I'm a Mexican, and a police officer agreeing with him on that. He could be caught in an alley with a hobo on his knees, doing the service, and the boy gropers would not care. This is all about complaining about Jews. That's what it's about for them. So it is satisfying. He prosecutes the case against Jews. It is satisfying for them a scapegoat.
Fuentes said that white people are facing, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's basically talked about the fact that white people in this country, okay, have been disadvantaged, have been oppressed, have been replaced for, I don't know, the bulk of a decade. And now all of a sudden, that's being tabled in some kind of broad big tent message that accepts birthright citizenship.
That's
Those
not
two
what he's saying.
things,
He
I'm
never
sorry,
said
they
that
don't cohere.
He never said that he accepts birthright citizenship. Like, didn't we just fucking watch a clip of him saying that
I did. He said, I don't care.
We all just watched both of those clips. And that's clearly what he said. If you are born here, no matter what race you are, this is your birthright.
I don't care what you are. That's what he said. We can go back and play it again.
Yeah, it was. If you want to play it again, it was clip.
It's the clip that's up on the screen right now.
Clip 9. I think no. I think that was the one where he said white nationalist.
This is an interesting moment here where Dave attempts to only play Fuentes' rebuttal rather than the original statement.
Are dead.
Yeah.
No, it's clip 9.
This is the clip.
Separately.
No, this is where he talks about white nationalists.
Yeah, this is where he. You're not.
So on my show last week, we're talking about Israel first versus America
what he
first.
originally said.
And I said that Josh Hammer, his wife, is Israeli. His kids are Israeli. I said they're not even.
You want to argue with like the
no?
dead word.
Cameron was referencing.
You want to argue with the
Cameron
dead word.
was referencing.
He does not want to play the original clip. You're seeing it live for us.
The original clip,
which was taken out of context. He was talking about Josh Hammer.
Then let's hear what he has to say.
Oh,
You have the truncated clip.
What did he say? What did he say before that? Before he said, "I don't. This might be controversial, but I don't care what color you are."
Yeah.
But we're not talking about birthright citizenship. I mean, that.
Look, he played dumb and was confusing the issue to not play the clip because he knows That's exactly what Fuentes said. This is every boy groper.
We're talking about allying with minority groups in order to achieve a popular America First movement versus an ethno-nationalist and homogenous people, not necessarily.
I think this guy was this close the entire time from shouting, "Mom! Leave me alone, Mom!"
That's not, yeah, and like,
that's the difference.
I just don't understand what you people aren't understanding about this. We are occupied by Zionist Jewish power. They own.
Thunderstorm says, I guess you're talking about Cameron there, that he has a small channel. It's going to remain that way till he becomes a huge Fuentesian. So let's see again.
They'll understand what you people aren't understanding about this.
I don't understand what you people, those who care about white people, are not understanding about this.
We are occupied by Zionist Jewish power. They own the levers of Congress, the presidency.
Notice again, I'll point out again how right I am. What is the complaint? They have power. They work together. As a consequence of power and working together, they pull levers. That's the criticism.
The FBI, the CIA, and we need to launch an offensive to put America first as opposed to Israel first. Until that problem.
What is America for these people? What do they define America as? America, as nature demonstrates, as God demonstrates, is the white race. We make it every second of our being. There is no America without the white race. A name on a map
is solved. We are never going to make this country better for the middle class, for white people, for anyone. Period. It's very
middle class comes before white people. I'll throw you a bone. We'll toss white people in there at the end.
very simple.
How many illegal immigrants are there in the United States, Dave?
Somewhere between 25 and 50 million.
Yeah, I'd say that constitutes an existential crisis.
I agree. And guess
You
what?
can't get
Nothing is
control of
happening.
metropolitan areas in the United States.
Sure, and most metropolitan areas aren't
I think
white.
that is equally. I think that is equally important. And I think what we are saying, Rebecca and I, is not that this is some revelation. It's not. It's that our views, at least until recently, seem to be in lockstep with Fuentes. He seems to have changed his opinion, and I think that's what these other folks are getting at. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole clip. Maybe it was taken out of context. But what I will say is, and in that second clip, he seems rather defensive, and I don't know why. Why does he have to qualify and say, "Oh, well, I have done this, that"? And there's no need for that. If you've done it, you've done it, right? So something else is going on here. That's what it suggests to me, and I don't know what that is.
Well, I think that the criticism is that he's moving towards a more centrist position to be more palatable to the masses. That is the criticism that I'm seeing levied against him. He has been going on all of these shows. So I think Dave is defensive because it seems like he's breaking through, and now we're taking that opportunity to criticize him. But I mean, he did say this. He did say.
He did say it. You know, Dave's got to hate that. You know, the estrogen in his veins are just boiling with rage. Got a Jewsburg in the chat, the live chat, saying nothing wrong with teaming up with the non-whites to hate Jews. Go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. We're serving white well-being. We are serving the well-being of white people, which benefits everyone in the long run because all of our norms of justice and order and a peaceful society, civility, all of that will reign supreme again. But you can get together with all the non-whites you want, and you're not getting rid of millennia of a success strategy for a people. Oh my God.
Say this, Dave.
Great, so let's fucking kill him. Let's throw the whole.
It's breaking through, and
this is such a fucking child right here. She levels this point. He did say this, and so it's worthy of us calling it out because it's clearly a contradiction to the well-being of white people. However she sees and etc. values that. And the response from this guy child, this boy child, is, well, let's just fucking kill him. This is really what, do you know, this show here has hundreds of people that show up to watch this kind of shit. And if you need any more evidence that the race is sick as hell, the white race abasing itself at the foot of I'm a Mexican, let's all get together and be in his audience to support his Jew spurgery.
Now we're taking that opportunity to criticize him. But I mean, he did say this. He did say this, Dave.
Great, so let's fucking kill him. Let's throw the whole fucking thing out. Let's wreck the entire thing. And throw it out because that's never going to do anything. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Where you have one person that says one thing in a longer 2.5 hour long show, and then you take this 10-second clip and then throw the whole fucking thing out.
This is such nonsense black and white thinking. I preface this whole thing by saying, I hope Nick Fuentes succeeds. I hope he succeeds. I hope he does what we want him to do, that he continues to be the representative of the movement and of our actual interests. That is what I hope. I never said that we should throw the baby out with the bathwater, or that Nick is not useful to the movement, or that he hasn't done good work. The idea.
No, so we're just going to sit here like a bunch of Zionist Jews and criticize the one fucking guy.
Oh, so now if you're not supporting Fuentes, you're a Zionist Jew and you just want to kill him. If you want to criticize what he said about all races, birthright citizenship, America is a multiracial, and you remember on Tucker, he agreed effusively with Tucker that no group of people should have tribal identity in the West. And that's the only way the West, specifically America, can survive. But the West as a toto is the implication. The only way, if it's multiracial and there's no tribal identification. I think he's not for, these people, Rebecca, they could be criticizing that. Cameron could be criticizing that. That's more significant. But I don't know that they did. We got a guy here. Dude, what's your solution then? We have a solution. So you close your yapper and you find out about the Go Free practice, and you'll see all of the victories we are having, and you'll find out that it's all replicable and scalable, and you'll see the rapidity with which these concepts have been put into the mouths of people in power, including governors, including the president himself, and MPs over in the UK, and the political parties in Australia. You'll see we have the solution. So, I mean, I don't understand. You show up, you reveal a lot when you show up, where I am teaching people, this community is empowering people to be better versions of themselves, to advocate for white well-being. And you show up revealing yourself when you come with this hostility. If you actually cared about white people, when you hear about a solution, you hear about people having success, you would say, whoa, wow, what's going on there? What's happening there? I want to find out, because I want the victimization of my people to end. I want us to recapture our destiny. So that's working? I want to find out what it is. I want to investigate it. Instead, they show up and they're like, we're subjugated. What do you expect? You've got no solution. Shut the fuck up.
Not finished, and you're going to sit there and be quiet until I'm done. You need to get your anger under control here. It hasn't done good work. The idea.
No, so we're just going to sit here like a bunch of.
I want to point out that she goes into mother mode because he is behaving like a child. She didn't go into mother mode with him behaving like a man. Now, I don't know if she would. I don't know her that well. That would, of course, be a very bitchy thing to do. But I think that he induced this in her because he's behaving like a child.
Zionist Jews and criticize the one fucking guy.
I'm not finished, and you're going to sit there and be quiet until I'm done. You need to get your anger under control here, all right? The idea that one criticism levied at him is some sort of attack on him as a person, as part of the movement, is not what I'm saying. We have to develop nuanced opinions about this because we all want, for the most part, the same thing. What we're having now is growing pains within the movement because we cannot decide if this is an ethno-nationalist movement or if this is a multiracial Catholic movement. And that is the issue.
It is a multiracial Jew-spurging movement. You're so close, Rebecca. And it is largely Catholic.
The heart of the issue. This is why you are crashing out, Dave.
I'm not crashing out.
You were crashing out.
We're just not part of the same movement. That's it.
That's insane. I'm crashing out, Dave.
I'm not crashing out.
You were crashing out.
We're just not part of the same movement. That's it.
Play that like 10 times. Because that is how the boy gropers feel about your white ass caring about white people. You are not part of the same movement. You are allowed to participate in the largely Catholic, multiracial Jew-spurgery under the uncriticizable Nick Fuentes bubble boy. You're tolerated to be here if you're going to shut up and endorse him. But if you're going to start speaking up for white people, I mean, for the love of God, This should send shockwaves. You know how right I was from the very beginning. I told people, I had people, and I don't want to slander them, even though they've been suckers to me. But they came to me and said, Jason, you know what you should be doing is you should be making friends with Nick Fuentes so that we can get him on our shows and raise our popularity. And I said, it's not the same movement. It's not the same. He's going to throw you a bone. He doesn't care about white people, though.
That's insane.
I am part of the movement that is going to put America first and free America of Israeli Zionist control. That's
now, this guy needs to go back play with his toy car Tonka trucks and his Matchbox car. I am part of the movement that's going to get rid of the Jews. Good fucking luck.
That's all that matters.
Do you care about white people in other places in the world?
Right now, no. I care about
every boy groper.
Do you care about white people in other places in the world?
Right now, no. All that matters.
Do you care about white people in other places in the world?
Right now, no. I care about America. What can I possibly do in Ireland?
That's how I feel about America, though. What can I do in America?
I don't know. You could fucking vote.
Do you think it would have made a difference? Do you think that if I got out there and told everybody, oh, Guggen is insane, everybody shouldn't... I don't think it really would have made a difference. Coeur d'Alene, it's kind of gone to the wolves. I guess we can vote. We can see if things are going to get better, but we're so deeply infiltrated. How much does it really matter? Post Falls was going to be fine.
No, it wasn't. The Zionists were coming after Post Falls.
Post Falls is considerably more conservative than Coeur d'Alene.
No, it's the same amount of people. Only 8% turned out in Coeur d'Alene. 8%. 8% turned out.
In Coeur d'Alene, 28% turned out.
No, you're wrong. I have the numbers right here.
Okay.
There are 37,800 registered voters in Coeur d'Alene. Dan Guggen got 3,265. 8.6%.
Yeah, okay. I mean, 8% came out and voted. I mean, what do you want? This isn't my fault because I didn't vote.
I'm not saying it's your fault.
I'm just literally just said this is my fault because
I'm saying that you're not offering any solutions. Nick Fuentes is the only person that has any solution.
Arval has solutions.
No, bullshit. Arval's solution is to go fucking only person that has any solution.
It's my fault.
I'm saying that you're not offering any solutions. Nick Fuentes is the only person that has any solution.
Arval has solutions.
No, bullshit. Arval's solution is to go fucking hide in the woods.
No, he's talking about creating communities of like-minded people. That is a solution.
To do what?
What is Fuentes' solution? Well, we covered it. He said so in his interview with Arval before he decided that Arval was dead to him because Arval asked a question and had a little tiny bit of criticism for him. What is Fuentes' solution? Well, Dave says so in this interview or in this conversation as well. Hide your power level, then take over the CIA. Hide your power level, then take over the FBI. Nothing could be more childish and impractical. Is absolutely ridiculous.
To have kids, and then in 50 years, something's going to happen? Bullshit. If we're all in agreement that white America is in an existential crisis and something has to be...
So white people, a la Arval, moving out to the areas and living amongst ourselves, no solution. Hiding your power level and saddling up with non-white people who also dislike and want to complain about Jews, and then taking over the FBI and CIA and Republican Party, that's the solution.
Done right now. Nick Fuentes is the only one that is offering any kind of solution, anything positive for anyone to go do. Arval's solution?
Anything positive for anyone to go do. Hide your power level, take over the Republican Party, CIA, FBI, government. Hide your... That's the positive thing. That's the exact opposite. And if any of these guys, the reason they have to say hide your power level is because if they go to their neighbors and friends and family and they start saying the Jews have too much power, they've all got to go, then they're going to suffer the consequences of Ye's law. Even the billionaires can be destroyed. So that's the positive thing. The only one out there offering anything positive. So what is the actual... Now that is just what's argued, by the way. But what's actually done? Like compared to what's actually done in this community, where people change their lives for the better. They get their children returned to them. They change policies at police departments. They change policies at iHeartMedia. They change, etc. They get raises and promotions. They change the anti-white obedience training at their workplace so that it's no longer anti-white. What's the actual tangible thing you can do in the multiracial Jewsburgery movement of Bubble Boy? It's endorse him. It's get content creators who don't endorse him or who criticize him, their channels taken down. That's the positive thing that you do. That's the actual like mechanical, the real, that you can give him money. You can make him rich so he can buy buildings in Chicago and properties in Florida and talk about how he loves the multiracial areas like Los Angeles, as opposed to living amongst a bunch of white people out in the woods. Those are the actual mechanical things that you can do in the America First Fuentes movement. That's the real essence of what it is. And behave like this. And, you know, you have Cameron in the background here saying both times, Dave, this clown, is saying the only person doing anything positive. This is how they feel, the boy gropers. Cameron in the background is like, not true, not true. And he's just ignoring him.
Do white flight, flee the cities, and go hide in the woods. And build a community and insulate and isolate. He's doing the Rob Dreher Benedict option bullshit.
I'm not going to be put in a position where we have somebody in the movement that I cannot criticize even mildly without getting Groyper crash outs like this. This is insane.
Black-pilled is milking bees.
This is an insane reaction to a tepid opinion that I had about Nick Fuentes. And this is the Groyper reaction. It's like so crazy and over the top emotional. Like Nick's reaction to Arval. All Arval did was DM him and ask him a question. He's like, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. It's like, can we all have a nuanced discussion about what our movement means without fucking crashing out? It's insanity. It's insanity. Dave.
They are in a hostage situation. White people in that circle, in that movement, the movement of aggrandizing Nick Fuentes, you are in a hostage situation. You better not criticize the little twink. You better not criticize him. This is your existence. If you want to criticize Jews, well, then you better not criticize Bubble Boy.
Well, look, listen, guys. I understand the passion, and it's good passion, right? It's needed because there's a lot of energy right now, and that's a good thing. I think there are bigger forces at work here, right? That's something I've talked about from the beginning of the podcast. I do not believe that what's going to solve our problems is democracy. I don't think what's going to solve our problems is some kind of political movement, but at the same time, we do have to take some sort of political action. And Dave is correct that political action over the last several years has been centered in the Groyper movement. I think that that's a fair statement to make. However, that's not the only thing that is going on. There are other things that we've got to consider. We've talked about a banking crisis. We've talked about the economy. We're going into a very different political environment right now. And all manner of change is going to happen. You're going to see new people emerge. So I don't think that we live or die based on what this particular character is saying. That being said, nobody here.
Oh, Cameron, what are you doing, man? Don't you want to make money off this? Where are you streaming from? It looks like you're streaming from a coffee house in Alexandria. Is that where you are? Don't you want to have a nice apartment uptown Alexandria? How about Crystal City? Where do you want to live, buddy? You better start getting on board.
Here is disavowing, right? We're not saying that this movement or that this political organization is invalid. Nobody's saying that. What we're trying to do, I suppose, is just keep us on track and make sure that those boilerplates are there. And foundational to all of it is the idea that we have to restore the white demographics control and balance of the country. Abandoning that mantra, and I'm not saying that that's what he's arguing, although I have questions after seeing that excerpt, that must be maintained. Because with
this guy seems reasonable. Like you could have a reasonable conversation. You could disagree. You can agree wherever it is, but you're going to be able to have a reasonable conversation. Not a surprise then that he's not a boy groper.
Without that, there is no America. You cannot have an America first if you can't define what the United States is all about. And if you take us out, if you take the white population that founded and built the country, that speaks English, that practices Christianity, right? Whether it's Protestantism or Catholicism or what have you, there is.
You notice how he had to say, whether it's Protestantism or Catholicism, you've got to say that in those, because they're not very high on Protestants. So many of the boy gropers, not high on Protestants.
There's no America. And these succeeding generations of immigrants from other countries, they're not a part of that. They don't know anything about it whatsoever. We've got to stand strong on this particular issue. And as I said, I'm not saying he's moved off it, but that clip raised some questions and others had them too.
This is the inevitable You have people come, a content creator like Fuentes, and there are plenty of others out there. They throw bones to different audiences to build their audience number, but it's never what they actually feel. It's never who they actually are. And inevitably, what happens is these kinds of things will come to light. And then these different audiences will say, wait a second, I feel like I've been duped. I feel like there has been a bait and switch here. So this is inevitable, and it will happen again and again.
And we are responsible for keeping our leadership on track. If we have principal differences with somebody, then it is fine for us to be like, why do you think this? Is this what you're saying? And that's all anybody was doing, asking questions. That's all I was doing. I don't need to be like dead to Nick Fuentes. Or you suggested that I think we should kill him. Like, I'm not saying any of the shit. I like Nick.
Hey, she'll be dead to Fuentes. In fact, I think this show, I mean, and you can fill me in. I don't know whether I don't follow this kind of. I'm too worried about white people and ending our victimization. Actual white people, not the abstraction, and improving our lives and making us better advocates for white well-being, white positivity. Too busy with that to be into the all of the backstabbing and the gossiping and everything. But I know that Vince used to be on this show. Is that right? And now he's not anymore. And I'm inclined to think that what happened there, and now I don't know for sure, could be wrong, but in so many of these cases, those people who are allowed to be close to Fuentes are really careful about who they talk to and associate with. Because if they talk to and with and associate with people that are not as fervent in their support as Lil Nicky as he wants them, then he'll cut you out. He'll cut you off. He's done that since the beginning. He is the queen of that movement.
He's highly charismatic. He's the greatest orator of our time. He's done a lot of really good work. He's sacrificed greatly for the movement. I want to see him.
All of these kind of statements really sound a lot more now like somebody who is trying to tap SOS out. Please don't hurt me. I'm hostage. I'm hostage.
And represent our interests, because he may be the only person that can do it at this point in time. But that is why people are being hard on him. And that is an acceptable way to prime your leadership, to keep your leadership accountable, because we have all sacrificed. All of us have sacrificed. You're not the only one, Dave. I have sacrificed. Nick has sacrificed. All of us have sacrificed for this movement. And we want to see it on track. We want to see it to continue to represent our interests.
Could you imagine being in a movement where you have to argue, hey, this one guy is not the only one who has sacrificed? Could you imagine? Instead of like in the practice of Go Free, and you're coming here for our gatherings, and we all recognize and talk about our suffering. We all recognize the sacrifices. We all recognize the damage done to all of us. And it's important to each and every one of us, the sacrifices and the suffering of the others. Could you imagine being in an environment like this where you have to say, well, he's not the only one who has suffered or sacrificed? No way. This is battered wife syndrome. This is battered husband syndrome that white people in this multiracial Jew-spurging movement are going through. Just open your eyes. It is so unbecoming. I remember before the internet was robust enough for all of this, and the white Jew spurs had at least a shred of dignity. They would never align with the black nationalist Jew spurs or the Arab Jew spurs. They had a shred of dignity. Now that's gone. Now that's gone. They fall in line and they're like, but what about my suffering too? What about my sacrifices too? It's pathetic. Only the white race would do this. Only the white race would be this pathetic. And it's this pathetic as a consequence of anti-whiteism, what it's done to us, how it's poisoned us, how we suffer from white noir physically, mentally, and spiritually as a consequence. So battered that you can get sucked into Jew spurgery and thinking that's going to accomplish anything, even though it's always failed for generations. And then submit yourself as some second-class citizen in this multiracial Jew spurging movement. Get in your space, white nationalist, pro-white person. Find your spot and shut up and endorse the I'm a Mexican.
You're saying you're a white supremacist?
I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican. I'm also Fuentes.
I know.
And that clip made me concerned that it is diverging with my vision for the movement and what I think other ethno-nationalist vision for the movement is as well. And I think that some of these concerns are warranted. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I shouldn't have to be afraid that people are going to ruin my life because I ask some questions.
Listen to that.
Shouldn't have to be afraid that people are going to ruin my life because I ask some questions. Saying that I shouldn't have to be afraid that people are going to ruin my life because I ask some questions.
That's a cult. We have a lot of losers that throw the word around cult as a slander, like they do. Oh, you're a Jew, you're a Fed, you're etc. They like to throw around the word cult as another slander. What happens when people want to leave the practice of white well-being? They just leave. Nobody follows. Nobody ruins their life. Nobody doxes them. Nobody undermines their income. None of that. They just leave. If they want to fight and slander with us, we just say, well, you're just not welcome to come back anymore. You can go about your life and do your thing somewhere else.
I shouldn't have to be afraid that people are going to ruin my life because I ask some questions. I just asked some questions. I mean, good Lord, I want the nuance back. We should be able to talk about these things.
Yeah, the other thing.
I want the nuance back. We should be able to talk about these things. That's a sad plea for mercy and a beg for fair treatment. Look at her face. Look at her face after she said that. That's a real statement. That is a sad plea for mercy and a beg for fair treatment. That is somebody being treated unfairly. In this conversation, Blonde is the face of white Jewsburgs, and to whatever degree they have an actual concern for the white race. And Dave is the face of the boy gropers. This is the hostage scenario. Exactly as I told you all, it was becoming, and then it was, and it is, and it will continue to be. How many times does your hierarch have to be right?
Thing too is if you go back and you look at what Ben Shapiro said and you examine it in detail, what all of them want to destroy is ethno-nationalism. And they want to destroy that because they fear it, because they recognize its power.
Of course, ethno-nationalism been defeated. I think this is about it for this. We got other items.
And that's the secret elixir that we've got to tap into. Now, I know others, I know people.
H, many times in the name, says, is Nick really as powerful as he is? No, he's not. That's why we call him Bubble Boy. He's got to be in the bubble created by the gropers. Outside of that, he's nothing. In the real world, he's nothing. He can't convince a police officer he has to resort to that he's a Mexican. He can't have a conversation with anybody out in the world like yours truly. I can go, and I do. That was the whole basis of the creation of the practice, was talking to peers at blue and white collar jobs, talking to strangers on the subway, on the streets in the city, in the malls, in suburbia, out in the country, at the country stores. It had to work everywhere for me so that it would work everywhere for you. And we have the proof in abundance here of all of the successes of people applying the strategy. Nick couldn't go out in the world and convince anyone. I could go into a bar and have numerous people in the bar, even anti-whites, using the words I'm using, the concepts. Just as I had, and I mentioned the other night, just as I had a woman who was like a county leader or regional leader for Black Lives Matter years ago, and we shared the comments. We showed them on the stream on Instagram where she came after me. And I got her saying she's not anti-white. She dated a white guy at some point or whatever, and she likes white people and everything. All right. I think what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts? Tagman's no white guilt. I'm going to see what you have to say. Did you think it was getting this hostile over there? Did you expect this? Do you expect it to get worse? If you really, you need to take away from this, that this is how, in this bubble created by the boy gropers, inside this bubble, that Fuentes goes from popularity to popularity, content creator to content creator, interview to interview. This is how it happens. It's not because of anything that he is saying. It's not because of any of the complaints about Jews having power. That's not why he's getting interviewed all over. That's not why he's getting spoken about in Rolling Stone and Newsweek and The Atlantic. It's not because of complaining that Jews have power. Get this out of your head if you're one of those people that think that. None of the success in popularity is a consequence of that. What you're seeing, the terror on these white people's faces when they want to give a little bit of criticism, that is the engine of success for Nick Fuentes. Period. God damn, it can't be more obvious. The good Lord is leveling the gavel right now. Over. Case closed, bitches. You want to see success? You take a look at the people in this community, the champions in this community, who go into the real world, their real lives and circles of influence, and change those environments from anti-white to white positive. That's what you want to look for victories. Popularity, it's done by terrorizing individuals. That's how it's done. It's also done by way of the establishment knowing, the power holders knowing that complaining about Jewish power is never going to succeed. And that's why The Atlantic writes you up. That's why The Atlantic tells the world that you are the resistance leader. That's why Rolling Stone tells the world, just like they did with Richard Spencer, just like they did with others before him. Because they know there is no path to success with that approach. Unbelievable.